Hello, I'm Lara. Welcome back to the sewing room. Today I'm talking about pins and pincushions. Now this is obviously not one that I actually use. It's a lovely pillow that my niece made for me for my birthday some years back, but I absolutely love it. It's the iconic tomato pincushion, complete with, this is supposed to be a strawberry. So let's talk a little bit about pins. I love this thing. But if you stick around to the end of the video today, Lisa and I are celebrating that we have over 1,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel now, which is great. And we are doing a little giveaway of pincushions, so stick around. I'm just gonna keep doing that. It's too much fun. No, I'll stop. But okay, so there actually have been several videos recently about the history of pincushions and why we see the tomato-shaped pincushion so frequently, at least in the English-speaking world. So I will have some links to those because I think they're really cool and I love the history of it. But just again, just so you know, normally you have your pincushion and it's stuffed with various things. You might be tempted to use fiberfill, which I'm pretty sure is what's inside my pillow/toy version. But the strawberry part is actually usually filled with emery or some other material that's designed to use to sharpen your pins and needles. So you don't store things in this because they would rust, but every once in a while, if you have a needle or a pin that's just a little bit dull, not crooked, not damaged, but just a little bit dull, you would use this to kind of sharpen up those ends. Now before I launch into a full pincushion extravaganza, which there are many styles and options available today, and you can even make your own pincushion if you want to, let's talk about why they're important. Obviously you don't want to just have pins laying around to roll on the floor so that you can step on them later. That's no fun. But a lot of us have developed a habit, and I know that I used to do this when I didn't know better, of putting pins in our mouths. This is a bad idea, and I kind of zoomed through my book collection this morning, and I only found one book that talked about not doing that. This is so adorable. It was the Vogue sewing book, and it said, don't put pins in your mouth, because if you're not careful, you'll eventually see lipstick showing up on your project. Now, not all of us, I know I don't wear lipstick every day, and especially don't put lipstick on just so, but that's a good reason. But an even better reason is safety. I don't have footage of this, but Lisa and I did go to the Mutter Museum in Philadelphia, and there are literal drawers in that museum that were donated by a doctor of things that he had retrieved from his patients' throats, and there were lots and lots of sewing pins and lots of sewing needles, and some even with the thread still on them. I'm not gonna lie, it was horrifying. It was absolutely horrifying. So yeah, maybe you put a pin in your mouth to hold it a million times in your life, and maybe out of those million times, once you happen to inhale, you could suck a pin into your lung. Even if you are being careful. I almost said if you're not being careful, but even if you are being careful, everybody knows accidents happen. So to keep yourself from putting pins and needles in your mouth, you could wear lipstick, which might remind you. But I find for most things like that, the best thing I can do for myself is make the alternative as convenient as possible so that I'm not tempted. If I really am stuck without a pincushion and I'm doing something where I need to pin things, I need to be taking pins out of things, I will pin the pin to whatever I'm wearing instead of putting it in my mouth. I realize that's a bit unusual, but that's a habit I have developed. I figure better to put some pin marks in my dress than to potentially get hurt. Nobody wants that. And also, especially if you have cats or other critters in your life, you do want to keep your pins and needles locked away in a drawer. Again, one of my books mentions you do want to make sure that they're covered in some way just so that they stay clean. Although frequent use will usually keep your pins and needles pretty clean. Now I have a variety of pincushions that I use frequently, and so in the words of the wardrobe from Beauty and the Beast, let's see what's in my drawers. Now my two main pin cushions are literally these two different ones that go right on your wrist. These particular ones are by the company I think it's pronounced Bohen, it's French. Not 100% sure how to say that, and I'm almost sure you can't read that, but anyway, they exist, and I've got two different styles here. This one is an adjustable base, but it's just hard metal and just goes right on your wrist. I actually end up wearing it more this way because often I'm kind of doing other things with my left hand, so that's more convenient, but obviously you can wear it on high too. But you adjust that. And then the other style I love, this is the slap bracelet style. So for those of us who grew up in the 90s, I don't slap it on the way I used to slap a bracelet because I don't want any pins to come flying out. But I do find this is a little softer, it's a little bit more comfortable, and if you're someone who has, if you have issues with carpal tunnel or anything like that, you might find this to be a little easier to use. I think there are also styles where it's essentially kind of a soft fabric bracelet with a little Velcro closure, so that's kind of nice. And the reason I have these two, and why they're my two main, is you can't tell from looking at them, but on this pin holder I have pins that are kind of for woven fabrics, so just regular old standard, straight pens. And these are ballpoint pens, so that's what I use when I need to pin a knit fabric. So just like in our sewing needles where we have both regular woven, or possibly just general sewing needles, it is also possible and advisable to get ballpoint sewing pens to go with your stretch needle or your ballpoint needle, because it doesn't pierce the fabric in the same way. It protects you from accidentally running your fabric, so that's great. So those are kind of my two main guys. And then I have a different style here, and this is fabulous. Lisa gave this to me some time ago, and it's even signed on the bottom. There it is in focus. And I'll have a link if I can find one. But I love this. It's really beautiful. It's very stable. It sits very neatly on the table. And oh, that rhymed. But these white-headed pins, what these are extra fine glass head pins. So when you just buy regular pins and you're not trying to do anything special, these ball points, or the balls at the top of the pins, are almost always going to be some sort of plastic, which if you tried to, or if you accidentally ironed over them or touched them with a hot iron, they would melt, which would be bad, right? So I have these both for kind of extra fine fabrics where I'm afraid that the regular pins might make too big of a hole, but also because sometimes you have to pin something down that you also want to apply a little heat to. Now, I'm not going to go, I've never gone full bore and really tested to see if this glass would cause a problem with the iron, but I do like to use them in those circumstances. So those are my top three. And then a little bit more unusual is this guy, and you'll see it's actually even labeled. And it's designed so that if you have, say, a sewing needle, I have my machine needles down here and my hand sewing needles up top, that you've only used a little bit and you know that you want to reuse it. Instead of putting it back into its package, you put it onto this pin holder. Why am I having trouble saying pin cushion? You put it into this pin cushion, and then later you know, okay, this is the type of pen that it is, or the type of needle that, good Lord, Laura, the type of needle that it is. I don't know if they make this exact model anymore, and in theory you could of course take any pincushion and just label it however you like, but I do really enjoy having this because it's a convenient way to kind of get a little more life out of a needle that I've only used a little bit, and I really mean only a little bit. Like maybe I was just doing a hem, or I was just doing a repair, or I was just sewing the cuffs on someone's shirt shorter, but then I changed to a different needle for a different kind of project. This is a great way to keep those needles from going to waste. Lastly, I've got here is the magnetic style of pin cushion. I guess technically then it's not really a pin cushion, it really is just a pin holder. And I think these are great. They're very convenient. A lot of people like them more because you pretty much just drop it onto the holder and it holds it. And there's a couple different versions of this. There's this one. There is another one that comes on or is designed to be worn on your wrist. So those are really nice. But I also do use, rummaging around, Wonder Clips quite a lot. And they also kind of stick. As I think you can see, it does stick, but not quite as firmly as the pin because there's just a little teeny bit of metal in there for the magnet to hold onto. So it's not going to be really super firm hold, but it's better than nothing. To be honest with these, I pretty much do just keep them in their box. It's probably not ideal. They do make specific wrist holding holders just for the clips where you kind of clip it on there, and they're really cute, but I've been getting on fine with just the box. These are so much larger and harder to lose than pens, and also if I stepped on one it would only hurt the clip and not me, so I don't really care as much if one of them gets loose. But let's talk a little bit about the material of pens. If you go to just any store and just buy sewing pens, 99% of the time they are going to be nickel-plated steel. It's great. Steel all on its own, unless it's stainless steel, does have a tendency to rust. So like if you read old sewing books, they will give you various tips and tricks for preventing rust. Note about preventing rust and or generally protecting the points of your pens, no matter what material they are. If you are going to make a pincushion, you're better off if the filling is something like either wool. Let me get a book. Just remembered, I actually looked this up. Sawdust, wool, or hair. Polyfill is fine for my fake one, for my pillow. I would not recommend it for long-term use as a pincushion. First of all, it doesn't really hold up super great. It's not going to hold your pins in very well because it's not firm enough. And also, some people have reported that over time, if you leave pins in there long enough, they will get rusty. I imagine that could be maybe the nickel plating getting worn off as you're going in and out, or those could be people using older pens that don't have the nickel plating. But yeah, this is so cute. I think this one is kind of a homemade one. We just probably pinked felt. Probably pinked wool felt. Sorry, picking up my bookmark. But anyway, this is one of the Bishop Method books, and I will talk more about the Bishop Method, on a different video. That's just not today's topic. And another book, I love this book. Lovely little section about pincushions, specifically saying that a felted wool cushion serves to lubricate and protect pins from rust and corrosion because of the lanolin in the wool. Now, if you're someone who has an actual lanolin allergy, and those are pretty rare, that would not be the best one for you, but for everyone else, felted wool is pretty easy to get. You can get all different kinds, so if you're looking to either make or purchase kind of a novelty pincushion, that's a great choice. Okay, now as I said earlier, the most common material for sewing pins is basically steel that's been nickel plated. With that said, nickel is the most common metal that people are sensitive to. If you have sensitive skin and you're like me, can't wear earrings that aren't actually like gold or some other material like that, chances are you have at least a mild sensitivity to nickel. Now with that said, I can't wear nickel earrings, but I've never had any problem using nickel plated pins, mostly because I don't think they contact my skin very much, and where they are, it's I'm holding it by the head, or your fingertips are kind of tougher than the rest of your skin. But if you're someone like, I have a niece who literally is so sensitive to nickel that she doesn't keep change in her pockets. And US nickels are only about 25% nickel, they're 75% copper. So she is extremely, extremely sensitive. So for her, if she were to take up sewing, I would recommend she seek out actual stainless steel pins. And they are made, they are available, they're a little bit more expensive. But if you're someone who knows that you're very, very sensitive to nickel, look into getting a hold of those. Nancy tells us that using wool for your pincushion, or having felted wool as your pincushion, is a great choice for helping prevent rust. Obviously your choice of materials are also going to prevent rust, but I do want to just give you a Nancy's note from this book, which is that many pins are labeled rust proof or rust resistant. However, if you store pinned fabric in an area that has a high moisture level, like a basement, like a basement is me, that's not her, it is very likely that the pins may still rust and damage your fabric. This is especially true in areas near the ocean where the environment is moist and salty. So just keep that in mind. Pins are great. They're very useful for the things they need to be used for, but you do want to be mindful that if you're going to leave a project for potentially a long while, you maybe want to find a different way of securing whatever you're securing with those pins. I do buy nicer pins. I also still have lots of pins that are just mediocre, but frankly, any pin, no matter how much I spent on it, the minute it is hard to use, if it's having trouble getting into a fabric, or if it looks bent, straight to jail. This is my pin and needle jail. It is an Old Spice jar. I love that the top has holes in it, so I don't even have to unscrew anything. But life is too short to sew with bent, dull, or otherwise unworkable pins. So just commit to getting rid of these suckers when they don't behave well. All right, giveaway portion of the video. Yay! So Lisa and I are so excited that we have so many subscribers and that we're building up this wonderful community of people who want to learn more about sewing and hopefully have more fun with their sewing and hopefully have a better time sewing because they're mastering their sewing skills. So we're so, so grateful and happy for our subscribers. So this is just to say, like, we do have some pincushions that are designed that you pin to your garment, and you wear them. They're wearable pincushions. So hopefully there's something that you might be interested in having. If you want to enter the giveaway for these pincushions, you have to do a couple things. Just make sure you're subscribed, and then I want you to comment on this video, safety first. Now obviously we can't just let that run on forever. What we will do is after 7 days, I will note that we are closing this giveaway portion of the video, and we will do a drawing and we will contact the winners, and yeah, good luck. And either way, if you want one or if you don't want one, if you win one or if you don't win one, hope to see you next time. Thanks, bye-bye.